Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday morning and the Old Cookbook Show. Today we're going to do a recipe out of this old cookbook, just called Cookbook. St. James United Church, Peterborough, Ontario. Peterborough is a city, maybe kind of an hour and a half northeast of where I live. I spent a lot of time in Peterborough as a child. My grandparents owned a place just outside of Peterborough. Spent all of my summers there, running wild on like 350 acres. This is a community cookbook. This is a cookbook put out by a church group as a fundraiser. Lots of advertising in it from local businesses in Peterborough. And even though this is from 1947, I recognize some of the business names. They were still there in the late 60s and 70s. And we're going to do a recipe. I chose this recipe. It's called Upside Down Ham Loaf. I chose this recipe because I had ham. I was looking specifically for a recipe that I could use up this last little bit of ham. And I landed on this one because I grew up in a family that didn't treat ham with a sweet glaze. I know that people eat ham with a sweet glaze on the outside. Pineapple rings and cherries stuck in and that sort of thing. We never had that. And so this kind of intrigued me because what I've got in this pan is butter and brown sugar. And I'm supposed to mix the butter and brown sugar together and coat the bottom of the pan with it. The recipe doesn't say butter, it says Crisco. And I don't keep any sort of vegetable shortening in the house, so I used butter because that's what I have on hand. I could have used tender flake lard, probably. That would have worked really well. Use the fat that you've got on hand. I figure butter's going to work in this one. Really easy. Okay, so I'm going to crack 2 eggs into this mixing jug. And we'll give that a quick whisk. Okay, to the egg, I'm supposed to add dried mustard powder. So this is Keen's dried mustard powder. If you are on the other team, use the other brand. I'm okay with that. Chopped ham. So I've got finely chopped ham. I'll put that in. Calls for breadcrumbs. In those go. And some finely chopped onion. And we'll whisk that all together. Okay, I'm going to switch to a spoon. As soon as the breadcrumbs soaked up the egg, this got pretty thick. So, there's no salt, there's no pepper, just the mustard. And we're gonna put this on top of the butter and brown sugar mixture in this pan. And then we're going to cover it, and we're going to cook it on the stovetop for just 25 to 30 minutes. I just don't know what's going to happen here. So I've got the butter and the brown sugar evenly coating the bottom of the frying pan. I don't really have a lid for this frying pan. If someone at Calphalon could explain to me how this set of pots and pans, every pot and pan came with a lid, except for this little frying pan. All of the other frying pans have lids. I know that you've discontinued this 15 years or more ago. Great set of pots and pans. It's 5-ply, copper core, aluminum sandwich on each side of the copper core, and then a stainless steel sandwich on the outside of that. Incredible, incredible pots and pans. Can't buy them anymore. Which is okay, because you can't get a lid for that pan. Now, I pack the egg ham mixture into the pan. You gotta tell me, is this a thing? Have I missed out on this? I just don't know what's gonna happen here. Often I make these recipes, and even if I'm not familiar with the recipe, I look at the ingredients and say, yeah, I can see how that would work. This, I just don't know how this is going to work, because it's kind of like an omelet, but it's not an omelet. It's kind of like a cake, but it's it's not a cake. So I've got a lid that doesn't quite fit. Oh, no, well, maybe. Let's see. We'll see what happens. We'll turn this on. Initially, I thought this was something I was going to put in the oven. But based on the way it's written here, pack and pan, cover and cook over low heat. And that over signifies to me, a cooktop. So I'm going to put low heat. What is low heat in 2026 compared to 1947? 2? I'm going to try 2, and we'll see where this goes. I'll see you in 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, let's see, what do we got? Well, the book's far away because I'm supposed to turn this out onto a platter, and it looks pretty sloppy. Now, it says I can put rings of pineapple on top of it if they are available. And today, they were not available.
Rings of pineapple, that suggests it's a dessert, but now I'm not sure that I'm looking at it. Hi, friends. Hey, Glenn.
There's some stuck to the inside of the pan.
Is it sugary? Is that...
Oh, I'm not telling you. You have to jump in there, Jules, and have some.
So that's a... Sorry, that was just me thinking and chewing all at the same time, and I got myself into trouble. There's a lot of textures. Okay, so ham. I can see that.
That's totally weird. That's totally weird. I don't understand what's happening here. Julie, tell me what's happening here. Why am I having another scoop?
Because you're trying to figure it out. Because it's not awful.
No.
It's not awful. You're not going, oh my goodness. It's like, well, tell me more about these flavors. This is very interesting. It's very challenging to your palate.
Uh-huh. Okay. So like an upside down cake, butter and brown sugar in the bottom of the pan. Mm-hmm. And then I whipped up a couple of eggs, some ham, some breadcrumbs, a bit of onion. Mm-hmm. I think that's all that was in there. Oh, dry mustard. Dry mustard is the only flavoring. And I put that on top, and then I put a lid on it, and I cooked it on the stovetop for 25 minutes.
I'm trying to imagine it now with pineapple.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time stretching to that.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the sugar brings to it. No. Right? Like I'm not sure what the brown sugar.
Okay. But so you grew up probably in the same type of household I did, in that when you had a ham, did you ever have the brown sugar or honey glaze on the ham?
No.
No. So that's that's the connection between the brown sugar. It's the brown sugar and the ham. A lot of people.
Those flavors go together. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Put those together. That was never in my household. I just don't understand what's happening here. And we've eaten half of it.
And yet, I will say, and I've said this, something else we made recently. The mustard really brings something to it.
Yes. So here's an addendum. When I started this recipe this morning, I got everything out, and I said, "Oh, we've got breadcrumbs," but I went into the pantry to get the breadcrumbs, and they were seasoned breadcrumbs. So there is seasoning in the breadcrumbs that I have, and I can't remember what we bought the seasoned breadcrumbs for. Don't remember what recipe that was. They smelled okay. I tasted them. They hadn't gone stale yet, so I used them. So there is that seasoning that's in with the breadcrumbs as well. It's bringing something. Okay, I really seriously want to know, is this something you have ever come across? Is this a dish? It's from Peterborough. It's just up the road from us, and I have never come across this before.
I don't know what to say, but here I am having another piece.
Yeah.
As I said, it's not horrid. It's
It's ruined my dinner.
It's probably 10,000
All
calories.
right.
Sugar and
It's
butter, man.
so many calories. So many calories. Okay, so this one has left us dumbfounded.
I'm not sure that I quite like it, though. I just don't know where to put it. Yeah, clearly dumbfounded is a great...
There's no point in my future where I say to myself, hey, Jules, why don't we make that upside down ham loaf for dinner? This is a one-off, but it's very interesting.
But oddly, I can see some frou-frou chef pulling it together in some way that,
Yeah.
you know...
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. If you used all the right words, it would sound really fancy.
Yeah.
Because it's got lots of parts.
Thanksgiving breakfast, maybe?
No, never. It's like overly complex, whereas that other recipe was so simple.
Super plain.
It just
So that's last Sunday's recipe, and that was Spanish macaroni.
very plain, very simple,
Very plain, very simple.
very pleasant.
This is complex. There's lots going on here. Really kind of weird. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.
There's a lot of thinking going on in this
Yeah.
one.
Thank you, everyone, for making it to the end of the video and for hanging on to watch this next bit. As in past years, in 2026, I will again be raising money for Hope Air. Hope Air is a charity here in Canada that connects people in need of medical care or medical treatments with transportation to get from where they live to where the treatment is available. In Canada, healthcare is universal. Healthcare is freely given to anyone who steps up and says, I need treatment or I need care. The problem exists in the way, the sheer size of Canada's geography and the way our population is distributed. There are some people who live in areas that are underserved by healthcare, and they need to travel to the larger centers, be it Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto, Winnipeg, Montreal, Halifax, or St. John's. There are people who live in Canada's north or in more remote areas where getting to one of those centers to get treatment, be it cancer treatment or ongoing operations for some other health concern, getting to those centers is incredibly difficult, incredibly stressful, especially if it's a child that needs this health care. There are places in Canada where you could be driving 10 or 12 hours to access the treatments that you need. There are places in Canada where there is no road access. You may live in a town that is fly-in only. So what Hope Air does is utilize private pilots like myself who volunteer their time to fly to some of these locations, pick up people, and bring them to the treatment that they need. Or at least bring them to a larger center where they can get on a commercial flight, again, provided by Hope Air, to the city where the treatment is available. And for parents who are bringing their children for this type of healthcare, Hope Air also has partnerships with hotels where they can provide hotel stays for the parents during this, stressful time. For those of us that live in the big cities in Canada, this is something that we don't really think about. But there was a time where Julie and I lived in Northern Ontario, and we lived in towns and villages where, it was 3 hours just to drive to get to a grocery store, let alone drive somewhere where complex medical care could be given. And we were very cognizant of that when we lived there. I'm in the incredibly fortunate position that I can make a change, that you can help make a change. Last year, my viewers, you, donated $40,000 to Hope Air. That's an incredible amount of money. That really changed lives. That helped a lot of people. And I'm so thankful to you that you would open up and do that. It it's absolutely incredible. And so for 2026, I'm hoping that we can do that again. In August of 2026, I will again be participating in Give Hope Wings, which is where a bunch of pilots like myself, we go out and we fly around and we raise awareness and we raise money and we sort of put a spotlight on the fact that this charity exists and this need exists and this gap needs to be filled. And so this summer we're going to the East Coast. Some of the highlights are Halifax, St. John's, Newfoundland, Goose Bay, Labrador. Then we're on to Rimouski and Trois-Rivières and ending up again in Sudbury. So I hope you'll come along with me over on the Flying Channel on that trip. Julie and I will be making it this year, and hopefully you will enjoy coming along with us. And if you can donate money to Hope Air, I thank you very much. I also understand that if you don't live in Canada, you may not feel a connection to this. I would hope that you you could find something in your community that you could help out with. I think that we really need to be a community of people that help each other. That's the only way through this, is to help each other and to give of our time to those that need it. So I thank you very much. So I will put all the links for Hope Air and everything they do in the description box below. Please check them out. And I thank you in advance for however you can help.